Hey everyone, this is Craig, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to another exhibition of Inside Pitch Advance. Thought we'd do something a little bit different today. Thought we replay, well, first of all, let's change the year. We were playing 1984 for a while. Today we're going to go with 1978, and to be a little bit different, we're going to replay the final game of the season, the game 163 for both the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. The winner take all that essentially would go up against 1978. That was Kansas City Royals, I think. So, so winner take all. Obviously, for Red Sox fans, they like some vengeance, and for Yankee fans, they like the same thing to occur as it did in real life 47 years ago. Good grief. Boy, am I old. Okay. So that being said, let's go over the lineup for the Yankees. Leading off will be Mickey Rivers in center field, Thurman Munson at catcher, Lou Piniella in right field. Reggie Jackson will be playing as the DH since Pinella's in right. Let's see, Greg Nettles at third. Batting sixth is Chris Chambliss, the first baseman. Seventh is Roy White in left. Denny Doyle is at second. He's obviously replacing Willie Randolph today. And then Bucky Dent is at short. On the mound for the Boston Red Sox is Mike Torres. In real life, he was 16-13 on the year, 250 innings pitched with a 3.96 ERA. So that being said, let's get this party started and see if history repeats itself or if it takes a turn. So let's see. Mike Torres will be pitching to Mickey Rivers to lead off the game. The pitch from Torres is a 3-4. That is a strikeout, potentially 13 against a right-handed pitcher. That's too high for Mickey Rivers. By the way, just thought I'd go over. Fenway Park has no effect on strikeouts or home runs, but is a +1 for walks. Obviously, for potential home runs being taken away. It can happen in right field, but it's not going to happen in center. And of course, it's not going to happen in Fenway with that 37-foot green monster out there. No adjustment, no opportunity for a potential home run takeaway. So let's get back to Mickey Rivers. Let's see. So too high on the strikeout. So Rivers will swing away. That is a 1-5. That's a ground ball right back to Jerry Remy, the second baseman. And we've got the first out here in the top of the first inning of game 163 of the year 1978. Batting second will be Thurman Munson, the catcher. 6 homers, 71 RBIs, nifty little 297 batting average in real life. Let's see. Torres with the delivery. That is a 6-5. That is an EB, so potential error on a ground ball or maybe somebody to the outfield. We'll see. That's a 6-6 on Thurman Munson. That is a G6. So EB, G6. Oh, look at that. Got to get rid of that. Okay, so potential error. That's a 10. On, let's see, the shortstop, Rick Burleson, whose error rating is a 5, so it's too high. So the batter is out at first. Burleson throws across, and that's the second out. 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Mike Torres will be facing Lou Piniella with Reggie Jackson on the on-deck circle. The pitch from Torres, looking for a 3-up, 3-down inning. That's a 4-4. That's a potential strikeout, but that's too high for Lou Piniella. Sweet Lou is going to put the ball in play. And that is a 2-6. That is a fly ball to the center fielder. Fred Lynn camps under it. He's got it. And that is the third out. 3 up, 3 down for the Yankees in the top of the first inning. The Boston Red Sox, looking to change history, will be leading off at the bottom of the first inning. So let's look at the lineup for the Red Sox. Leading off, it's Rick Burleson. Let's see. The second baseman would be Jerry Remy. Batting third is Jim Rice. Batting fourth is Carl Yastrzemski. Fifth is the catcher Carlton Fisk. Sixth is Freddie Lynn in center field. DHing today is Rich Hobson. Batting eighth is George Scott, the first baseman. And then ninth is Brohammer. Bats lefty. He's playing third base instead of Hobson. I think he had 40 errors that year. Crazy. So I can see why, hey, we've had enough of that crap. So Brohammer, I think that's how you pronounce his name, that will be playing third base. And of course, on the mound for the New York Yankees is Ron Guidry. In real life, insane numbers, 25-3, 273 2/3 innings with a 1.74 ERA. He also held runners on. He has a -1 and a -2 to steal rating. So he's going to be cutting down the run game. Not that the Red Sox were really a running team, but what little they had, Ron Guidry's going to see if he can put an end to that. So leading off for the Red Sox will be Rick Burleson, 248 on the year, 5 homers, 49 RBIs, has an insane range of 7. So he was batted leadoff this year, did okay, not a typical Rick Burleson year, but he was an excellent fielder. So the windup from Guidry, Louisiana Lightning with an 8-3. That is a potential walk. 18 is too high. And Burleson swings. It's a 4-6. That's an automatic out to 5. That is a ground ball to the shortstop, Bucky, you know what, Dent. And that is the first out. 6-3 play. Batting second will be Remdog, Jerry Remy. Batted 278, 2 homers, 44 RBIs, scored 87 runs, and stole 30 bases on the year. So yeah, I guess the Red Sox did have a little bit of speed that year. 8-6 from Guidry is a K or a home run. Obviously no home run, so it's a K. 19 is too high. Remy swings. That's a 4-7. That is a... With no runners on, that's a star 1, so it could change based on Ron Guidry's no runners on rating. So let's first see star 1 is a G4. With no runners on, it's got to be 8 or less. It's 17, so it's above. So instead of a G4, it's going to convert into an S4 because of Ron Guidry's numbers with no runners on base. So Jerry Remy singles past Brian Doyle. Sorry. Didn't mean to offend the Doyles there, but that's the first hit. And so Jerry Remy's on with the potential to steal a base. He is an SB2 rating now, or still stealing second of 4. So let's see if anything's on with Jim Rice stepping up to the plate, the human double play. Great power hitter, but gosh, he hit into a lot of double plays. 16 is too high. Ron Guidry from the stretch, 3-6. That is a strikeout. 11 against a left-handed pitcher is a 12. 0, that is a strikeout. And so we've got 2 outs now. And that'll bring up Carl Yastrzemski. Lefty versus lefty here. Let's see if Remy's going to be going this time. Again, a 4 or less. He is. So let's see. So Remy is a 14. Munson is a -1 arm, lowering it to 13. And Guidry's a -2. So 11 or less, and he's stealing second. 10, he does. Steals second base. So Remy defies the odds there. And where the heck is my SB? There we go. SB2. First till second. Boom. So we got a runner on second now. I wonder if Remy's going to go for third. A 1. He's going. He's not going. So Guidry from the stretch will pitch. That is an 8-1. That's a potential strikeout. 16 is too high for Yastrzemski. Does put the ball in play. 3-6. That is a ground ball right back to Doyle. He's got it. Throws it across to first base at Chambliss. And that's the third out. So, no runs, 1 hit, 1 runner left on base. In the penultimate game of 1978, it's 0-0, and we're headed to the second inning. All right. So Mike Torres back on the mound. Retired the Yankees in order in the first inning. He'll be facing Reggie Jackson, Greg Nettles, and Chris Chambliss, 3 lefties. And in fact, if you add Roy White in there, a switch hitter, and then Doyle, that's 5 consecutive lefties. So Mike Torres is saying, I do not look forward to this inning. The pitch from Torres to Reggie, 1-1. That is a range play on a 13. That is going to be a range play. And a 2-7. That is an infield single S5. But let's see a range play. So let's see, range play, IS5. And who's third base? It's Brohammer with a range of 5. And he's home, so 5 or less or an 8, he makes the play. He does not make the play. Whoa. Not good for the Red Sox. So Reggie Jackson is the first runner on base. He actually is a little bit of a threat to steal. Again, Mike Torres is a 0 hold. So with 3 or less, he'll be going. And wouldn't that be a shock to see Reggie Jackson stealing second base? Let's find out. Not going to happen. So Torres will now pitch to Greg Nettles. He batted 276, 27 homers, and 93 RBIs in the year. The pitch, 5-6. That is an EFG to the park. Let's go to that park. Fenway Park. That is a 7-6. That is a G4 if the runner, I'm sorry, if the fielders are back. That would be a potential like bunt situation where the infield is in, but they're not. So EFG at the park, and we've got a G4. And so what that means is we've got, a possible double play. So EFG, I just want to make sure. Oh, that is a possible error. So 16, EFG, so second base, that is above Remy, so there is no error. So we'll take this 16 roll to see if there's a double play. So it's a G4, and Reggie Jackson on first with nobody out. So the modifier is a +1 for hitting it to the G4, along with Mike Torres's double play rating is a 0. So anyway, +1, so it's 16 to 17, and that is a double play. So Greg Nettles grounds into the 4-6-3 double play, and the pitcher's best friend was there to help out Mike Torres, and now we've got 2 outs and nobody on. That'll bring up Chris Chambliss. The pitch is a 5-8. That is a potential walk against a lefty. Chambliss is a lefty, so 19 is too high anyway. Chambliss swings. That's a 2-4. That's a ground ball right back to George Scott. He steps on first base, and that is it. That is the end of the inning. No runs, 1 hit. No one left on for the Yankees. We're headed to the bottom of the second inning. It's still 0-0. All right. So Ron Guidry on the mound again. He'll be facing Carlton Fisk, Fred Lynn, and Rich Hobson. I don't know why I'm thinking Butch Hobson. I knew it. I knew that sounded wrong. Should have known that. All right. Come on, kid. All right. So Ron Guidry pitching to Carlton Fisk. Here's the pitch from Guidry. 2-6. That's a strikeout plus, and against Fisk, that is a strikeout. And I think, no, it's not his first. It's his second strikeout of the game. You're going to be expecting a lot today from Guidry. Brings up Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn batted, 22 homers, 82 RBIs, 541 at-bats, batted .298. The pitch from Guidry to Lynn is a 2-8. That is an EB. Lynn swings. That's a 6-5. That is a fly ball to center field. So an EB is not going to affect that. That's the second out. Mickey Rivers parks under it. He's got it for the second out. That'll bring up Butch Hobson, not Rich. Rich is probably Hobson's little brother in the stands waving to his big brother right now. So let's see. So Guidry a pitch to Hobson. The pitch is an 8-4, is an EFG at the park. What do we got? We got an 8-4. That is an S+7. So interesting. I wonder... All right, S+ results, let's see, all better, okay. So we roll 1d8 versus the batter, ABR. Let's see. And I don't know if an EFG star or EFG, sorry about that. Let me just get the error chart out. Just want to double check this is being played correctly. EFG... Where the heck is my EFG? It's on the other side, of course. Please pause for station break as we ensure that an EFG, nope, doesn't affect it. That's good. All right, so we're going to roll the die against Butch Hobson and his batting rating of 2. I'm sorry, his base running rating of 2. That is an 8. Roll of 8. The guy's potentially thrown out at second, so we're going to roll 1d20 and check the play chart. Going to the play. And let's see. That's an 8. Where do we hit it to? S+7. So that's going to Roy White. He has an assist rating of F, so only on a 3 to 5 would he be out, and that's an 8, so he's actually safe. So batter stretches the single to a double. So Hobson is on second. Hobson, who doesn't really run very well, got really cocky there, but was successful. So the Red Sox have a runner on second with 2 out, and that'll bring up George Scott, the first baseman. Only batted .233 that year, 12 homers and 54 RBIs. Ron Guidry deals. That is a 7-8. That is a hit by pitch -6. He's a 0, so it's not going to happen. We go to George Scott's card. That is a 2-6. And that's a ground ball right back to Ron Guidry, who snags it and throws it over to Chris Chambliss covering. And that's the third out. So no runs, 1 hit, 1 runner left on. At the end of 2, it's still 0-0. All right. That will bring up Roy White. Uh-oh. Where's my Brian Doyle? Out of order here. I almost got thrown out of the game. Roy White, Brian Doyle, and Bucky Dent. All right. So Mike Torres back on the mound. 2 innings, 1 hit, no run, no walks or strikeouts yet. He throws to Roy White. 6-4. The switch hitter is a pickoff. Nothing happening. We go to the ballpark. And that's a 7-6 at Fenway, which is a G4 again. So ground ball to Jerry Remy. Picks it up. Toss it across. Easy out. Brian Doyle only had 52 at-bats on the year. But here he is covering for the injured Willie Randolph. The pitch from Torres. 5-5. Blank. Look at that, a blank. And a 2-7 from Doyle. That is a ground ball right back to the first baseman, George Scott. Tosses it over to Mike Torres, and that's the second out. And that'll bring up Bucky Dent. Surely he's not going to get a hit. Here's the pitch from Torres to Bucky Dent. It is a 4-7. That is a range play at the park. 5-6 at Fenway. A lot of ballpark plays coming up thus far. 5-6 is a D or F7. So against a lefty, that's a double. Against a righty, let's see. That is an F7. So we use the hitter side for splits. So that is an F7. But let's see. That is Jim Rice. He has a range of 4. So potentially an F7 if Jim Rice can come up with it. And he does not. All right. So range play, F7. And let's see. So now we roll a 1d20 against the pitcher's RP2B rating. Mike Torres is a 1-8. So if it's a 8 or less, it's a double. It's not. So it's just a filled range play for a single. And we now have Bucky Dent, perhaps a harbinger of the future, on base with a base hit. So that'll bring up the top of the order, Mickey Rivers, who is 0 for 1, grounded out to second his first time up. But we're going to see if Bucky Dent's going anywhere. With a 1 or less, he is. He's not. Mike Torres with the pitch. That's a 2-4. That's a potential strikeout. 9 is too high. So the lefty will put it in play. That's a 4-4. And that is an S1 with 2 out. So let's see if Dent's going to third. Let's see. S1. A 5+. He's going. He has a base running of 3. We add 1 to it, but that's a 4. So Bucky Dent, unfortunately, is just a little too slow with his 3 rating, which would up to a 4, but he needs a 5+ to go all the way to third. So station to station base running here. But that'll make it first and second now with 2 out, and that brings up Thurman Munson. A little bit of a situation here for the New York Yankees. The pitch from Torres, 2-8. Possible error on a throw. He swings, that's a 7-3, that's a G4. Jerry Remy is an error of 5, so that's above. So that is not going to be an error. Fortunately for the Red Sox, batter out, batter out at first, runners advance. But obviously that's not going to happen. So with 2 out, that's the third out. No runs, 2 hits, 2 runners left on base. We're going to be heading to the bottom of the third. And it's still New York nothing and the Red Sox nothing. Guidry will be facing Jack Brohammer. And then the top of the Red Sox order with Rick Burleson and Jerry Remy. Bottom of the third here, nothing. The tension is palpable. 2-2. That's a potential strikeout. 7 against a lefty. That is a strikeout against lefties, and that is Ron Guidry's 3rd strikeout of the game. That'll bring up Rick Burleson. He grounded to short his first time up. The pitch, 4-5. That is potential wild. Not going to happen. We go right to Rick Burleson's card. That is a 6-6. Base hit to right field. Lou Pinella's got it, but Burleson is the 3rd hit of the game for the Red Sox off of Ron Guidry. He's also Not really a threat to steal. He's going to attempt of 2. Gidry will take away 1 of those. So let's see, is he going? No, he is not. But that'll bring up Jerry Remy. He singled his first time up. Would love to make it 2. The pitch is a 1-2 potential strikeout. That's 2. Ooh, almost close though. 14 for Jerry Remy against lefties. Against righties, he barely strikes out with a 3. But very, very close with Gidry, but no cigar. So Remy will put it in play. Oh, that's out of. Let's re-roll that entire thing because Red decided to hitch a ride on the choo-choo whatever. Let's see. So 2-2. What am I doing? So almost a strikeout. Now we go 2-2. That's a star 4, so it's an automatic out to G5. Greg Nettles picks it up, throws it across. Easy peasy. That's the 3rd out. Actually, I'm sorry. There's only 1 out. Not easy peasy. Where have I been? Okay. So ground ball potential 5-4-3 double play. Let's see. The roll is a 5. The modifier is a +2, so a 7. That's in the fielder's choice range. So the runner's out at first. I'm sorry, the runner on first is out at second, fielder's choice. So that means Jerry Remy is now the runner on first. You know, if I were a real broadcaster, I'd probably be fired if I don't know how many outs there are in the game, but shame on me anyway. So Ron Gidry will now pitch to Jim Rice. Jerry Remy's on first. He has a potential threat to steal the 4 or less. He is not going. Thought about it, decided not to. So Gidry will pitch to Rice, who struck out his first time up. 1-6. That is a question mark 17. Let's see, against a right-handed hitter that's above the range, so nothing happening. Jim Rice will swing. That's a 4-6. That is with runners in scoring position. That's an SA. It can be changed, but there are no runners in scoring position because we have Remy on first, and that's it. So it's just an S8. So is Remy going to go all the way to 3rd? Let's find out. We're going to roll a red and a white die. That is an 8-3, so we've got a potential play at 3rd base. Oh, I should have rolled all 3. So let's see. So S8, Mickey Rivers has an assist rating of B. That is a 9 on a B. 3-17, he's out. So Mickey Rivers throws Jerry Remy out at 3rd base on the single to center field by Jim Rice. And that's going to be the 3rd out. So big play by Mickey Rivers there. You know, maybe like I'll get so comfortable one day and I'll actually have some inflection in my voice as these events occur rather than just reading them. So can you imagine a year from now we'll probably be laughing at the this broadcast and how no feeling. But anyway, so no runs, 2 hits, 1 runner left on base. We're going to be going now to the top of the 4th inning. It's still tied up, 0-0. Still looking to see who's going to get that first run across. Torres will pitch to Piniella, Reggie Jackson, and Greg Nettles here in the top of the 4th inning. 3-4 from Torres is a potential strikeout. 14 is too high for Lou Piniella. And that's a 4-7, which is a pop-up to the second baseman, Jerry Remy. He's got it. Easy out, and that's the first out here in the top of the 4th inning. Big Reggie Jackson had an infield single to 3rd base using his pure speed. Torres with the pitch to Jackson, always dangerous. 4-1, that's a potential walk. That is too high. 2-1, that is a automatic out to 4, which is the G6 to Rick Burleson. Tosses it across to George Scott, and that is the 2nd out. 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. Nobody on base. Torres will pitch to Greg Nettles. He grounded into a double play his first time up. 3-6. That is a potential strikeout. A 5. It is a strikeout. And Mike Torres has his first strikeout of the day. Greg Nettles goes down swinging. 3 up and 3 down for the Yankees in the top of the 4th. We're going to head to the bottom. Still 0-0. All right. Drink for the broadcaster. That will bring up Carl Yastrzemski, Carlton Fisk, and Freddie Lynn. Gidry's thrown 49 pitches, 34 for strikes thus far. But he has given up an uncustomary 4 hits. 8-1, potential strikeout. That's a 10. That's too high for Yastrzemski. He will put the ball in play with a 2-8. That's a pop-up to the first baseman, Chris Chambliss. And that is the first out, and it is an easy out. That brings up Carlton Fisk. Fisk is 0 for 1 today. He struck out. Goodry from the windup. 6-4. That is a range play on 11-4. That is a range play. Fisk swings 1-3. That's an F7. So that goes to Roy White, who has a range of 2. Not cool. So an F7. Let's see if Roy White can actually catch it. He does not. Range play, F7, failed range play. Now we have to see an RP2B of 1. So very rare chance to actually convert it. It's not. It's a failed range play. It's going to be just held to a single. And that puts Fisk on first base with 1 out. Fisk is not a threat to steal. Not a bad base runner, just not a threat to steal. So no opportunity there. It'll be Fred Lynn, who's 0 for 1 today. He flew out to center field. Gittery looks over at Fisk from the stretch. Pitches 3-2. That's an EB. Lynn 8-8. That's a P3. So that's not going to happen with an EB. So that's just a. I'm sorry. That is going to happen with an EB, but no error check. But that's just an easy catch by Chris Chambliss for the second out. That'll bring up Butch Hobson. Don't call me Rich. Okay. So Hobson's 1 for 1 today with a double. He's the one who actually had a single and then took the extra base, getting all cocky, trying to change the course of the history here in 1978. So Gittery will pitch to Hobson. 2 out here. Fisk on first. Here's the pitch from Gittery. That is a 6-8. That is an EB. Lots of EBs now. Hobson swings 1-7. That's an F9. No EB. Thank you very much. That's going to Lou Piniella. You hear a smattering of Lou's as he parks under and catches it, but that's not 3 up, 3 down, but that is a third out. No runs, 1 hit, 1 runner left on. We're headed to the top of the 5th inning, still scoreless. Leading off for the Yankees, Chris Chambliss. Roy White in the on-deck circle. Mike Torres from the full windup. That is a 4-5. That is a potential strikeout. And a 3, that is a strikeout. So Torres gets his second strikeout of the day. Really kneeling down this Yankee lineup. Torres will now pitch to Roy White. He grounded out to second his first time up. The pitch is a 3-2. Potential walk. A 10 against a righty. Roy White with the +1 doesn't really matter, but Roy White does get a walk. I think that's actually the first walk of the day for both teams. So Roy White is on first. He is a little bit of a threat to steal. He had 10 stolen bases on the year. So a 3 or less, and he's going to go. Oh, there he goes. Holy moly. So he is a 14, Fisk is a 0, and Torres is a 1, so 15 or less. He makes it. All right. So Roy White says, I'm taking this. I'm going to do this myself. Thank you very much. He gets his second base. And still up is Brian Doyle. Now he has a 1 chance to go to third. He's not going. Torres looks back at Roy White on second. He delivers. 1 out here in the top of the 5th inning. 6-8 is a blank. Brian Doyle grounded to first his first time up. 7-7 is a single to center field. Holy moly. All right, so let's see. We've got Roy White on second base. He's a 4. He's going to remain a 4 because there's only 1 out. So I'm going to take these 2 guys. We're going to 4-6, which is a base runner. So he's going to automatically advance. So he scores. Bam. Brian Doyle, the big RBI single. I forget even where it went, but it was, S8. So a base hit to Fred Lynn. And the Yankees taken, can't say early, but a mid-game 1-0 lead, and there's a hush in that Fenway, that raucous Fenway crowd, thinking it's the curse, man, it's the curse. All right, so Brian Doyle is a threat to steal. He's 6 or less, he's going, and it's a 10, so he's not. But Torres will now pitch to Bucky Dent, who's 1 for 1 today. Torres with the delivery. That is a 6-6. That is a, let's see, against a lefty, that's an automatic single, but against a righty, which Bucky Dent is, it's a blank. So Bucky Dent will just put it in play. That is a 1-4. That's a base hit to center field. Uh-oh. Floodgates, they're opening. So now we look at Brian Doyle. He is a 5. Let's see if he advances to third on the play. That is a 6-6. That's an arm rating. He's going to hold on a 6-7. Lynn does not have a great arm. He's got a 2. So he's going to advance to third. He's not holding. So it's first and third again. Actually, not first and third again. First and third for the first time. We've got first and third now with 1 out. And a pall has been cast on the Fenway Park crowd because now it's the top of the order. So the bottom of the order has been getting on base. And it's Doyle and Dent on third and first. And now Mickey Rivers, who's 1 for 2. And I'm going to say the pitching coach is coming out to talk to Mike Torres, who's now pitched 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits and 1 run, 1 walk and 2 Ks. He's thrown 65 pitches thus far. I think you're going to have to keep him in, but you got to expect they're going to have a short leash. All right, so Mickey Rivers, batting lefty, 1 for 2, grounded to second, and then singled past the mound. Torres looking a little antsy. First, we're going to see if anyone's going. They actually will both go on a 1, which would be a little super crazy. But nothing's happening. Torres deals 8-2. That is a blank. Mickey Rivers going to put the ball in play. That's a 3-5. That's an infield single to short. Runners are going to advance to base, but now we've got first and second, and the second run crosses the plate for the Yankees, and they extend their lead to 2-0. Uh-oh. So Mike Torres, I think, is giving out like 4 hits in a row here. First and second, 1 out, and we've got Thurman Munson, like the heart of the Yankee order. Do we start thinking about... And I think we're going to have to start thinking about it because you can't get shelled here. So let's look to see who's available for those Red Sox. And we're going to go to pitchers. And Eckersley is not available. Actually, it says Bob Stanley's not either. But let's see. Let's suggest a pitcher. It's suggesting Bob Stanley. Let's see. He pitched a few days ago. Looks like he had a start or something like that. That's crazy. 150 pitches, but he's had 2 off days. So, hey, we're going to go with him anyway just because that's the suggestion. And I just take directions. That's all I do. All right, so Bob Stanley, he did start 28 times. I bet you... Well, we're going to do it anyway. So Bob Stanley's going to come in for Mike Torres. Because even with the weighted algorithm, it's still going to say that he's the guy. So here's Bob Stanley. All right, so Bob Stanley is on the mound here in the top of the 5th inning with only 1 out. Runners at first and second, and Rivers and Dent, and that brings up Thurman Munson, who is 0 for 2 today. Trying to plug the dam, or plug the levee. Stanley comes out with the pitch. That is a 1-6. That is a potential strikeout. And again, let's see, with Thurman Munson, 10 or less, that is a strikeout. So Bob Stanley's halfway there, halfway home there, buddy. And that'll bring up Lou Piniella, who did have 207 at-bats versus righties. So he's not a, platoon player at all. So again, first and second, now 2 out. Here's Bob Stanley pitching to Lou Piniella with Reggie Jackson on deck. You do not want to be facing him with bases loaded. 4-8. That is a blank. Piniella, 2-2. That's a ground ball right back to the shortstop. Rick Burleson picks it up, tosses it to Jerry Remy for the 3rd out. Mercifully, the 3rd out. But the Yankees pick up 2 runs on 3 hits, leave 2 more runners on, so it could have been much worse. But we're going to head to the bottom of the 5th inning. It is now the Yankees 2 and the Red Sox nothing in game 163 of the 1978 baseball season. All right, so leading off for the Red Sox here in the bottom of the 5th will be George Scott, Jack Brohammer, and then the top of the order with Rick Burleson. George Scott grounded to the pitcher his first time up. Gatorade delivers 8-6, and now he's got a lead, so he's loving it. That's potential strikeout. 6 is a strikeout. George Scott goes down swinging, and that's Ron Guidry's 4th strikeout of the game. Jack Brohammer, 0 for 1 today. He struck out. Louisiana Lightning deals. That's a 1-6. That is a question mark, question mark. 16 is too high. Brohammer will swing. That is a 4-3. That's a star 7, so that is an automatic out. Fly ball to the center fielder, Mickey Rivers, and that's the second out. That will bring up Rick Burleson. 1 for 2 today. Singled and grounded to short. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. 2-0 Yankees. 4-1. Wild pitch? Nope. Rick Burleson swings. That's a 4-7. That is a ground ball to the third baseman, Nettles. Takes the short hop, flings it across the field. 3 up and 3 down for Ron Guidry. And at the end of 5, the Yankees still have that brand new 2-0 lead. We are heading to the top of the 6th inning. Bob Stanley's still on the mound. He can face 11 batters in relief. Back in the old days when relievers actually pitched for more than a third of an inning. So let's see. He's up to 2 batters faced thus far. 15 pitches, and he'll be facing Reggie Jackson, Greg Nettles, and Chris Chambliss. Reggie Jackson, 1 for 2 today. Infield single and grounded to short. The pitch from Stanley, that is a 6-3, trying to keep this lead, this 2-run lead in check. That's going to the ballpark. Fenway Park says, hi. That's a 6-2 against a lefty batter. That's a base hit. That's an S6, so a base hit through Rick Burleson. And Reggie Jackson has his second hit of the game. And more importantly for the Yankees, they have another base runner and will be looking to extend their lead. So Jackson is on first. He's actually a 4 or less he can steal. He's not. Bob Stanley looks over at Jackson. Looks in at Greg Nettles. Greg Nettles 0 for 2 today. Got into a double play and struck out. The pitch from Stanley is a 2-1. Hit by pitch -5, so it's he's a 12, so it makes it a 7. And he's an 8. The roll is an 8, so it's too high. So Nettles says, wow, you almost hit me, but I'll swing at this next pitch. He does. 4-7 is an S9. Wow, Yankees are chipping away here. So let's see. Are we going, who's on first? Reggie Jackson on first base. Is he going to make it to third? Is he going to advance? 8-5. We're making a play. Here we go. So it's an S9. Jim Rice has he's got an assist rating of A. So Reggie Jackson could be gunned down here. That is a 17, and he is out. Actually, with an A, a roll of 3 to 20, he's out. So he's out at third, and that is a huge throw by Jim Rice to take out the other big right fielder, who's actually DHing today. Out at third is Reggie Jackson, so that's the first out. A big out, because we've been first and third with nobody out. Now it's just a runner on first with 1 out, and that would bring up Chris Chambliss. Greg Nettles is not a threat to steal, so he's going to be pretty stationary on first base. Stanley will pitch to Chambliss. It's 0 for 2. 7-1. Question mark is a 3 against a left-handed pitcher. That is a potential home run. Okay, so we're going to roll against Chris Chambliss's card. Against a righty, an 11 or less, it's gone. It's a 16, too high. So Bob Stanley unfortunately gave him a fat pitch, but Chambliss couldn't handle it. Just fouls out of play, and now he'll swing at the next one. That's an 8-5. That is, power hit to center field. That's a 6 against a righty. That's a base hit. That's an S8. Lots of hit singles here for the Yankees today. So Nettles, is he going to try for third? It's going to Fred Lynn in center field. That's a 6-1. That's an advance plus the trailing runner. Okay, on trailing runner's advance, if the red is less than the trailing runner BR rating, which it is not. Let's see. Chambliss is a 4, so it's not. So it'll just be first and third. Automatic advance, and the trailing runner potentially could advance, but Chambliss just isn't fast enough against that 6 roll. So it's going to be first and third now with only 1 out. So that's really 3 consecutive base hits off of Bob Stanley, who's now pitched 1 inning with 3 hits and no runs and a strikeout. He's having some issues, but they can't take him out yet. There's 1 out here in the top of the 6th. Pitching coach comes out, talks to him, says, come on, guys. We've got 9 base hits, these Yankees thus far. This is crazy. Bob Stanley, runners on first and third. Both of them are holding. They are not threats to steal. The pitch from Bob is a 4-6. That is a blank. Roy White swings. Switch hitting. He's batting lefty. That's a 6-7. And that is a star 4, which is an automatic G5, which could be a double play. So G5. All right, so that's an automatic. Yeah, so G5. So that goes to Greg Nettle. No, wait, that goes to Brohammer. Nettles is on third. Let's see. Roll modifier of +1. That's an 11. It is a fielder's choice. So the runner on first is out at second, and the runner on third scores. And yeah, I guess I could have said the infield's in. In fact, I probably should have said the infield's in, but they're back. So Roy White gains first. The Yankees get another run across. Almost had an ending inning double play, but did not come to fruition. And now it's Bob Stanley. And Craig, think about the management before you start rolling. Okay, I will from now on. So Roy White is at first. He is a potential threat to steal 4 or less. Bob Stanley's still on the mound. He can face 11. He's only faced 6. That's a 2. He's going. Roy White with a 14 stolen base rating. Stanley is -2, makes it 12. Fisk is 0, so a 12 or less, he steals. 16, he is gunned down at second base. And that will end the inning. But the Yankees, and so Brian Doyle will lead off the next inning. So the Yankees on one run on 3 hits, no one left on base, but they extend their lead to 3-0, and the murmurs are growing longer here at Fenway Park as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning against Ron Guidry on the mound. He can face 19 batters. I'm sorry, he's faced 19. He can face up to 32. So he's got plenty in the tank. He will be facing Jerry Remy, the 2-3-4, Remy, Rice, and Yastrzemski. Okay. Red Sox have to get something going here soon. That is a 2-4. That's a potential walk. Against a lefty, that is a walk. Jerry Remy walks against Ron Guidry, so Remy coaxes a walk out of him, and that's exactly what the Red Sox need. They need base runners. Down 3 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. That will bring up Jim Rice, the human double play. So Remy is a potential to steal on a 4 or less. He's at 10, so he's not going this time. And the pitch from Guidry, 7-7, is another potential walk, and he does. Whoa, another walk. So all of a sudden, Guidry here in the bottom of the 6th inning can't find the plate. And the Red Sox, the leadoff runners, and the tying run in Carl Yastrzemski coming up to the plate here. First 2 walks of the game for Guidry, and of course they're back-to-back here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Yastrzemski's up. He's over 2, grounded to second, and popped to first. Let's see. All right, so Guidry will pitch to Yastrzemski. 4-8. That is a strikeout. 12 is too high. Yastrzemski really does put the ball in play. Swings, 4-3. That's a star 6, which is an automatic fly ball to right field, so it's not a double play. And Remy, I think, will have the potential to move from second to third. Let's see, that is a 5-5, so arm rating of 5 through 7. He's not going anywhere, and he's an arm of 6, so Piniella had a great arm. So the batter's out, and the runner on second holds against Pinella's arm. And that's the first out of the inning. So Yastrzemski hits it pretty deep, but with Pinella's arm, they're not going to risk it. You don't want to be throwing yourself out of an inning here when you get the first 2 runners on. That will now bring up Carlton Fisk. 1 for 2 today. Struck out, but he also singled to left field in the 4th. Let's see. Actually, Remy, I should have looked. Remy is with a 1 or less, he's stealing third. He's not. The pitch from Guidry is a 1-1 against, let's see, Guidry's a righty, so it's a strikeout plus. He's going to go down swinging. So the Red Sox get the first 2 runners on, then there's a fly out and a strikeout, and potentially they're stranding those first two batters, base runners, of the inning, trying to squeak across at least a run here. They'll face Guidry will be facing Fred Lynn now. He flew out to center and then also popped out to first base. Fred Lynn in a very pressure situation here will face Ron Guidry. Guidry deals. That is a 7-5. And that is a strikeout. 15 is too high for Lynn, though. Oh, thank you, Ron. I know what you're trying to do. And he puts it in play. That's a 1-6 against a lefty. Against a righty, that would have been a single. Against a lefty that Ron Guidry is, that is a ground ball right back to the first baseman, Chris Chambliss. He's got it. Steps on first base. So Guidry gets up 2 leadoff walks and then gets the next 3 guys down in order, and the Red Sox strand 2. At the end of 6, it is still the Yankees 3 and the Red Sox nothing. Heading to the top of the 7th. Stanley's faced 6 batters thus far. He can face up to 11. He'll face Brian Doyle, Bucky Dent, and then the top of the Yankees order with Mickey Rivers. All right, Stanley's got to keep the door shut here. Got to give his guys a chance. That's a 2-3. That's a potential wild. Ain't going to happen. So Brian Doyle, who is 1 for 2 today, puts the ball in play. That's a 6-7. And that is with runners on. That could be affected. Runners in scoring position, but no one is. So that's just a straight up S1. So Brian Doyle gets his second hit of the game. And worst case scenario for the Red Sox, a leadoff single in the top of the 7th inning when they're down by 3 already. Doyle is a threat to steal. He's rated at a 7 right now. Let me just double check that. Yep, tempt of 6. But oddly enough, he's a stolen base rating of 0. So the Red Sox should just say, yeah, steal, Brian, just go for it. See what happens. Is he going? He is not. Fortunately for Yankee fans, he's not. Thought better of it. Stanley pitches to Bucky Dent, who is 2 for 2 today. Not quite the home run Bucky Dent, but not great for Red Sox fans either. 4-7. That is a EB. Bucky Dent, that is a 6-3. That is a star 4, which is a G5. So we've got an EB with a G5. So potential double play, but potential error also. And I'm going to say, thank goodness it's not Butch Hobson at third base, but let's see. So Brohammer is a 7, 18 is too high. All right, so we're going to re-roll the 18 to see if we got a double play or not. That is a 14. The roll modifier is 1. That is a double play. So no error. Keeps his wits about him, throws across to second and on to first for the double play. All right. So, big double play for the Red Sox there. 2 outs now, no runners on, and that brings it the top of the order in Mickey Rivers. Rivers is 2 for 3 today. 2 singles, 1 past the mound, and then 1 infield single to short. Stanley from the stretch. 2-5. That is an automatic out unless he's tired, which he is not. So we're going to go with an 18, and that is an automatic G5. So Brohammer picks it up again. Throws it across. That is the 3rd out of the inning. In the top of the 7th inning, no runs, 1 hit, no one left on base. We're headed for the 7th inning stretch. A queasy Fenway Park crowd looking for something to cheer. At the end of 6.5, it is the Yankees 3 and the Red Sox nothing. All right. So bottom of the 7th here. Red Sox have 3 more chances. Line score thus far, Yankees 3 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Red Sox 0 runs, 5 hits, no errors. It'll be Hobson, Scott, and Brohammer leading off here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Smattering of applause, smattering of clapping going on, trying to urge their Red Sox heroes to get something going against Ron Guidry, who's pitched 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. The pitch from Guidry, 3-4. Against a lefty, that's an automatic out, but Hobson is a righty. Hobson swings. That is a 7-7. That is a fly ball to the left fielder, Rory White. He's got it easy, and that is the first out. That would bring up George Scott, 0 for 2. Grounded to the pitcher and struck out. Guidry deals, 3-3. Range play of 12, that is a range play. And that is a 3-2. That's a base hit to left field. And that's 7. Roy White is only a 2. That's a 6. So failed range play on an S7. With the Red Sox luck, that could have been taken away with a range of 2. Seeing how things are going for them. But that puts George Scott on first base, who's not a really good runner. He's a 3. He's not too bad. But that'll bring up Brohammer with 1 out here, runner on first. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Brohammer's going to hit. Bat only 234, but defensively, you'd have to move Hobson out of third base. Let me see, who else do they have at third? Duffy and Bailey. Yeah, they got to keep him in because otherwise they lose the DH by moving Hobson out. So, That means Brohammer's got to swing. And George Scott is on first. He has no threat to steal. The pitch from Gatorade to Brohammer, who is again 0 for 2, 3-7. That is a question mark, 20 is too high. Brohammer 4-6. That is a ground ball to the first baseman. Potential double play, although it's going to be rough at first base. The roll modifier is 0. 14 or above, that's a double play. It's not, just below, so it's a fielder's choice. And that'll put Brohammer on first base, but more importantly for Yankee fans, that's the second out of the inning in the bottom of the 7th. With the top of the order coming up in Rick Burleson. Brohammer is not a threat to steal. The pitch from Gatorade to Burleson, who's 1 for 3 with a single. 7-5. Potential strikeout, 7 against a lefty. Rick Burleson goes down swinging for the first time today, and that's Ryan Guidry's 6. No runs, 1 hit, 1 runner left on base. At the end of 7, the Yankees are still leading 3-0. And the Red Sox will be down to their final 6 outs. Leading off for the Yankees will be Munson, and then Piniella and Jackson. They might be thinking about eventually taking Roy White out of left field, potentially, and maybe bring in Blair or Johnstone defensively. Stanley has faced 9 batters. He can face 11, so he might have to be taken out this inning. We'll see how this goes. He's facing the 2-3-4, Munson, Piniella, and Reggie Jackson. So maybe they'll face the first 2, and then maybe they'll bring in a lefty for Jackson. Depending on who they have, of course. We'll have to check that out. All right. So here's Bob Stanley to Munson. Munson 0 for 3 today. Bob Stanley with the pitch. 1-4 blank. Thurman Munson swings. That's a 3-8. That is a base hit to center field. Man, the Yankees all their singles today. It's just crazy. So Thurman Munson, again, a leadoff single. I need to track that. All right, so base hit. So Munson's on first. Not really a threat to steal 2 or less, but Bob Stanley's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm doing my best. I keep on getting up all these singles. 15 is too high. Lou Piniella, 0 for 3 today. Munson tried to go, not going. That is a 6-4. That is a potential strikeout, but 20 is too high. And that was a tough nut to strike out, but 20 is not going to cut it. Let's see, 1-4. That's a, with runners in scoring position, which is not. That's a star 2. That's a G6. So, potential double play. That went to Burleson. And let's see, the roll modifier is a +2. We've got an 11, so 13. Double play of 13 or greater, we got a double play. So, great play by Burleson there. And that is pitcher's best friend for Bob Stanley, and there's 2 outs. And he's now faced 11 batters. So he's going to be in fatigue now. And he's potentially going to face Reggie Jackson. And with fatigue, do you really want to be getting up a potential home run here? So, who else do we have? Well, we've got Bill Campbell. Yeah, Bill Campbell. And let's see. Tom Bergmeyer would be a great choice. So, all right, we're getting rid of Bob Stanley. Let's see. Suggest a pitcher. We're saying Tom Bergmeyer. The heck you are. All right. So Tom Bergmeyer comes to the mound, replacing Bob Stanley. He can face 8 batters. And it's perfect because we've got basically 17 left-handed batters for the Yankees in a row. So that's perfect timing to bring Bergmeyer, and perfect timing for Red Sox fans to get that double play. So 2 outs, top of the 8th inning here. Reggie Jackson will be facing Tom Bergmeyer. Bergmeyer on the year, 2 wins, 1 loss, 4 saves, 61 1/3. Not a really great year for him, 4.40 ERA, and also gave up 7 home runs in only 61 innings. So not a typical Tom Bergmeyer year. But they're hoping for the lefty versus lefty thing to kind of kick in here. Which, of course, Reggie pretty much, he struck out more, walked less, didn't hit as many home runs, so there was a split issue here. So Bergmeyer, 2 outs, top of the 8th, delivers to Reggie Jackson, 5-7. That is a potential walk. 17 is too high. Jackson will put it in play. That is an 8-2. Whoa, against a lefty, that is a triple to center field. That's crazy. So I guess it got caught in the triangle up, Lynn, I don't know. Lynn wasn't paying attention. Lynn, you got to pay attention, but that's a triple to center field, and holy moly, we got a runner on third, and that will bring out Greg Nettles. You got to be thinking, do we walk Greg Nettles and pitch to Chambliss? Nettles did have 28 home runs on the year. He is 1 for 3 today. Do you just pitch around him? Not that I can really simulate that, but do we pitch to Chambliss? Chambliss, let's see, Nettles is 270. Well, Chambliss was 274, and he had 90 RBIs. So here's the deal. I'm sorry, Tom. You should have given up a triple, right? Let's get Greg Nettles out. Tom Bergmeyer says, okay, coach. And he pitches. That's a 4-4. That's a blank. He serves it up to Nettles. Nettles says, thank you very much. 7-5. That is a fly ball to Fred Lynn. Tom Bergmeyer says, thank you so much. Thank you for helping me out here. But the Yankees, no runs on 2 hits and 1 runner left on base. We're going to be headed to the bottom of the 8th inning. It is the Yankees 3 and the Red Sox nothing. All right, down to their final 6. It'll be 2, 3, 4, Remy, Rice, and Yastrzemski. Can't get much better than that as far as who's going to be coming up to the plate. And sitting behind them are Fisk, Lynn, and Hobson. So the Red Sox really need to get something going this inning. Guidry's faced 28 batters. He's actually thrown 113 pitches. He can face 32. So this actually might be his last inning, but of course, the bullpen, you got Sparky Lyle, you got Goose Gossage. So if he runs into any trouble this inning, they may take him out anyway. Although, who the heck knows? Like, why would you take out 25-3 Ron Guidry? He hasn't given up a run yet. So, here we go. Jerry Remy leading off against Ron Guidry. 1 for 2 today with a walk. He's solved Guidry thus far. Let's see if he does it again. 1-6, question mark, question mark. That is a 5 against a lefty. That is a potential home run. Does Jerry Remy take him deep? He can't. He's a 0. He tried, but he just can't. Anyway, 6-2. That is a G6. Right back to Dent. And that's the first out. Ron Guidry said, I tried to throw it right down the middle for you, Remdog. You just can't do it, can you? Against righties, he has a 2. 2 rating. Against lefties, nothing. All right, so Guidry will now face Jim Rice. Rice is 1 for 2 today. He's singled and walked. The pitch from Guidry, 2-5. That is against a lefty. That's an automatic out, but Jim Rice is a righty. And 8-1, that's a line out right to Nettles, who makes a spectacular play. And that is the second out of the inning, and the Red Sox are now down to their last 4 outs. Oh, the calamity. All right, so Guidry will pitch to Yastrzemski, who's 0 for 3 today. The pitch from Guidry, 4-5. Wild pitch, nope. Yastrzemski swings. That's a 4-5 as well, and that's a ground ball right back to Dent. Guidry's a good pitcher. 3 up, 3 down for the Red Sox. At the end of 8 innings of play, it's the Yankees 3 and the Red Sox nothing. And the bell is almost about to toll. Bergmeyer will be facing Chambliss, Roy White, and Brian Doyle. Bergmeyer in his pitch the third of an inning. He can face 8 batters. He's only faced 2 thus far. Just trying to keep the lid on it. Trying to keep the Red Sox within striking distance, but it's looking pretty hopeless at this point. Bergmeyer with the pitch to Chambliss, who is 1 for 3 today. That is a 4-5. That is a blank. Chambliss 1 for 3, singled in the 6. That's a 6-8. That is a star 5, so it's an automatic fly ball to Lynn. Parks under it. He's got it. That's the first out. Excuse me. Roy White. He is a switch hitter. So, let's see. Actually, walks. Does better against righties. So, Bergmeyer is going to pitch to him. They're not going to replace. They'll probably replace him defensively in the 9th inning. That is a 5-7 from Bergmeyer. That is a potential walk. A 7 against a lefty is 6, but Fenway Park is a +1. So we add 1 to his rating. That's a 7. Thank you, Fenway Park, says Roy White. And that's a runner on first now for the Yankees. And Rory White is a minor threat to steal against Bergmeyer, a 1 or less. Not going. Brian Doyle, 2 for 3. This bottom of the order for the Yankees, 2 for 3. Grounded to first, single to center, and single past first. Bergmeyer delivers to Doyle, another lefty. That's a 2-1. That is a lefty that's a potential strikeout. That's a 6. It's too high for him. With his 192 batting average. 6-5. That is a G1. Let's see if that's a double play. So a G1, let's see. The roll modifier is a 0. Double play of 13 or more. And that's a 14. That is a double play. Wow. Go figure. So that ends the inning. Bergmeyer keeps the lid on it. We'll head to the bottom of the 9th inning, the last gasp for the 1978 Boston Red Sox. It is 3-0 here. Let's see. I just want to see how many double plays there have been. Wow, the Yankees have grinded into 4 double plays. That's crazy. And yet they still lead 3-0. So all those hits, they have 12 base hits, 2 walks, so they've got 14 runners left on base. I'm sorry, 14 base runners, period. But they only have 5 runners left on base to do all the double plays. So we are heading to the bottom of the 9th inning. Let's see. Do we bring in Gossage, or why would you take him out? He can face one more batter without fatigue. And he's going to face Fisk. So I think they're going to give him the opportunity. These are back in the days when, hey, guys, which has pitched an entire game. And even though there's 121 pitches, 77 for strikes, you might as well. You got Ryan Gitter in the mound. The pitch to Fisk, 1 for 3 today. He did single in the 4th. Boston faithful holding their proverbial breath. 4-8. That is a strikeout or a home run. But he's not fatigued. That's a strikeout with a 6. That is a strikeout. Fisk goes down swinging for the 3rd time against Ryan Guidry. Just flailing at it. Okay, so now fatigue is on. And let's see. It's Fred Lynn, 0 for 3. Do we bring in, well, lefty versus lefty? And then I think what you probably do, Hobson, George Scott, maybe bring in Gossage after this batter. Although he does have some K home runs here. He's got 2 Ks that convert into a home run. And Fred Lynn is a home run hitter. Gidry's just been crazy. 8 1/3 innings, 6 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. Here's the pitch from Gidry. 2-1, strikeout, 18, too high. 8-7, fly out to center field, Mickey Rivers, and that reminds me that I forgot to take Rory White out. Oh well, who cares, right? 2 outs. Gidry is completely fatigued. He's gasping over there. 129 pitches. Butch Hobson is up 1 for 3 and doubled. Well, I'm obviously not going to pinch hit. He did bat 250, 17 homers and 80 RBIs. But this looks like it's it. Bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs. Yankees clinging to a 3-0 lead. Not really clinging at all. They're up 3-0 with no runners on. Ryan Guidry looking for the complete game shutout to put the Yankees into the ALCS. The pitch from Guidry. 7-5. That is a strikeout. 4. That is a strikeout. So Hobson goes down swinging. And that is it. The Yankees are celebrating on the field. They win 3-0. There was no big demonstrative, Bucky effing Dent kind of play. But Guidry is the hero. Pitches a complete game, 6-hit shutout. Wins his, in this replay, his 24th game of the year. So he actually went 24-3 in the replay. Reggie Jackson had a triple, but he didn't even score. He went 3 for 4. I'm going to say it's obviously Guidry is the MVP, but let's see. Doyle and Dent went 4 for 7. Crazy. I mean, and Rory White had an RBI, Brian Doyle had an RBI, Mickey Rivers had an RBI. And that was it. Not a huge offensive display. It was essentially Ryan Guidry. And the Red Sox gave up 12 hits. So it was three runs, 12 hits, no errors, 0, 6, and 0 for the Red Sox. what really kept them in were the four double plays. So were it not for those four double plays turned by the Red Sox, this could have been pretty bad. Anyway, so yes, we have a little bit of revised history. The final result, though, however, is not. But I hope you enjoy this. We got a 3-0 final here. The Yankees again move on to the 1978 ALCS and deny the Red Sox once again. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you like, thumbs up, whatever. And we'll be having some new content. Maybe not this weekend. Well, definitely not this weekend, but maybe in the following week. And I think it would be very, very interesting. So please check it out. And thanks for joining me. And I guess that's about it. Thanks so much. And I'll be seeing you all soon. Take care. Bye.